Hey, what's up guys, my name is Charlie. Today we're going to be doing some more requested reaction videos, and this video is requested by Lasha Luke, and hopefully I've pronounced his name correctly. If not, he's going to lash out at me. I'm sorry, that was so cheap. I know, that was terrible. That was weak. That's what self-isolation does to you. When you self-isolate for so long, you start to slowly go insane. You start to laugh at your own bad jokes. Damn, Lasher Luke, man, your name just popped up in my head. You've been around my channel for a long time. Since the birth of my channel for like a year now. Well, even more than a year. So thank you so much for being a long time supporter. Yeah, your name definitely sticks out in my head. Along with like Rushy, Billy Mount, Anonymous Contributor, and many others. I'm not gonna call every single 2,000 subscribers out names, so I do apologize if I did call your name out, but I can't go for every single one of you. Film Theory, Blair Witch, Secret Killers. Okay. Yeah, the Blair Witch Project. Something to cheer us all up during this time of crisis. Let's watch a serial killer horror movie. This is really gonna get us in the mood. The apocalypse is coming. It is arisen. And we're watching horror movies. What a time to be alive. Let's watch this video. But before I do, Film Theory. Film Theory, I think I've seen just one of their videos before, but it was such a long time ago, like probably about 5 years ago or something like that. So I actually don't remember sort of what it was all about. Obviously, it's about film theories and stuff like that. Its title's self-evident. It doesn't need much explaining. But I'm very actually fascinated to actually check out this video because these actually could be very fascinating and interesting. Because from what I remember about 5 years ago when I did watch these sort of things, they were alright, they were good, they were kind of interesting. I only watched one, but I can't remember what it was on. But that's the beautiful thing about my channel. I can watch one video today and completely forget the next, so it's like brand new if I can watch it again. That's the beautiful thing about being Charlie, is that I can completely forget about a video that I watched. Let's check out the video because I'm actually very curious. So let's go.
I want to apologize and say that I'm so sorry for all of these theories. I never meant to hurt anyone. Never meant to offend anyone. Didn't mean to scare anyone. I'm so sorry. I'm also really sorry that I didn't bring any Kleenex because my nose is running like a mofo right now. So anyone who I've
There's
ever
no
offended...
Kleenex, it's the apocalypse.
What was that?
Yeah, good luck trying to find toilet paper.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Film Theory, the show that's like unsolved mysteries for the 21st century. Speaking of things people haven't thought about since the late 90s, let's talk about the Blair Witch Project. Since the 2016 sequel to the movie is currently either in theaters or has been forgotten by history as a bland horror cash-in by the time that you watch this video. But the original was something special because it was one of the first movies that took advantage of the internet as a viral marketing tool. Blair Witch came out in the age before you could use Snopes to reveal that all those memes Uncle Joe posts up on Facebook are made up. So when buzz started going around that this found footage movie was real found footage, a lot of people were fooled. Some of the family members of the actors even got sympathy cards in the mail. And you can't really blame them.
Yeah, I thought this was real as well.
The movie made a fake documentary
until I saw the credits
of the actors and set up websites with information about the names and places they made up for the movie. But I'm here today to clear things up once and for all. To tell you that not only is the Blair Witch Project a work of fiction, but that the Blair Witch herself is a fiction within that fiction.
Deep.
Throughout the movie, we're led to believe that these young filmmakers, Josh, Heather, and Mike, are being terrorized by some evil force in the woods, presumably the Blair Witch. But after studying the evidence, it becomes clear that none of the events are actually supernatural. Nope, the whole thing is just a setup for the two guys, Josh and Mike, to murder Heather. I know, that is a huge claim to make, and I'm sure that a lot of you don't believe me. But let me lay down the evidence so you can judge for yourself. In case it's been a couple years since you've seen the Blair Witch Project, here's a refresher. Heather is a student filmmaker looking to do a documentary on the mysterious urban legends surrounding the town of Burkittsville, Maryland, formerly
Burkittsville.
named Blair. She recruits her friend Josh to run the camera. Josh brings along his friend Mike to handle sound. Now, Heather and Mike have never met before, as evidenced by Heather saying,
I guess you're Mike.
and
How are you, Mike? It's nice to meet you.
when we see the first shots of him leaving his house. This is confirmed by Heather's journal, released in its entirety online as part of that viral marketing campaign, where on page 2 she mentions not knowing him. Meanwhile, we're never quite clear on the relationship between Josh and Heather. Sure, the movie reveals that Josh and Heather definitely know each other, but there's a little more to it than that. The initial concept for the movie had Josh as Heather's ex-boyfriend, and even though that didn't really make it into the events that we see on screen, Heather's diary does give us some hints about their history. On page 13, as they prep to go into the woods, she writes, quote, Josh doesn't listen to me at all, and he's supposed to be my friend. Mike is more respectful, and I don't know dick about him. A few days later, early on in their trip into the woods, she writes on page 16, Josh is always a surprise. So despite thinking they're friends, clearly Josh is antagonistic to Heather even before they're out into the woods and things start to go wrong. And to make matters stranger, neither Mike nor Josh is getting paid for their work on the movie. It's never mentioned in the movie itself, but Heather's diary fills in the details on both page 12 and on
diary.
page 20. These
Like
guys
tomato,
are working
strawberry
for free
thing.
on a movie that'll have them hiking deep into the wilderness in the cold and rain, all while carrying heavy film equipment. Remember, this was set in 1994. They ain't filmed this
Christ.
thing on their iPhones, and it's not like Heather is some brilliant director.
Many of whom remain, either on this hill or in the town below.
Maybe Josh is doing it because he's a friend, but Mike, spending a week with a stranger pro bono? It's just odd. Even some of the things Josh says on the first day of the shoot are just uncomfortable.
Should we all, like, get our fingers open and bleed on it?
Cool joke, bro.
It's kind of a witch
let's all
thing.
bleed on the clapboard. But assume for a minute Josh did want to
Kinda
kill
like
Heather
a
for some
cult
reason.
thing.
Heather says on tape,
But nobody knows we're out here.
so this project definitely gives him the opportunity, and in order to pull it off without getting caught, he enlists Mike for help. But obviously that's speculation. We need some evidence to incriminate Mike and Josh, and their behavior on tape gives
like
us
the
some pretty
theory.
big red flags.
Pretty
First, Heather is the one who
interesting.
plans the whole excursion, and based off Mike's admission that the map looks like Greek to him,
This is Greek to me.
we would expect Heather to be leading the way. But in almost every shot, Mike and Josh are walking ahead of her, guiding the group as if they already know where they're going. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. A huge chunk in the middle of the movie is dedicated to arguing over their map.
Map.
A sequence that gets made fun of by everyone from CinemaSins to Honest Trailers because of how long it goes on. However, if you track the chain of events in the map handoffs, you see that something here is definitely not right. Let me
Okay.
walk you through it. The group has successfully filmed at their two
getting
desired
deep and
locations
dark.
and are headed back to the car. Heather begins to use the map to guide them along the shortest possible route back to where they parked. However, Mike and Josh start to cause a commotion over nothing looking the same as when they first hiked out.
I don't remember a portion of this from walking in from the car.
As Heather correctly explains,
That was the most direct way to hit our two locations. Now this is the most direct way back to the car.
and it makes logical sense. It's simple geometry. Point 1, point 2, hypotenuse. According to Heather, they're about 2 hours away from the car, and she remains confident that they can get there. Yet it's the guys who are unsatisfied, outright refusing to walk. Josh then demands to see the map.
Yes, can we...
Now, we
Can I
don't see
check
the
the map?
handoff as they cut to them camping for the night, but the next morning the map has gone missing, with Heather convinced that she gave it to Josh,
Oh,
saying it
damn.
over and over.
Did you take it? I'm serious, I don't have it.
I gave you back the map, Heather.
the map.
I gave you back the map.
Josh, of course, denies it, and yet, based on the footage we saw from the night before, Josh was the most likely person to last have it based on him demanding to see it over and over.
Give me the map. Heather, give me the map.
With the map gone,
Give me the
tensions
map.
are obviously high, and despite Heather trying to get them to continue moving in the direction they were headed, it's Mike, Mr. It's
Sorry,
all
The
Greek
Shining.
to me, who determines which way they'll walk.
We're going this way because that's the way we've been going for a f***ing day. We're going this way and that's it. We gotta come across something.
A guy who, up to this point, has shown no enthusiasm for guiding the team. It's another odd decision. So now, consider the following. You're lost in the woods for days with strange noises happening at night and no map.
Fiction.
Despite all of this, shortly after the map blow up, Mike and Josh start joking around like nothing happened.
Can we keep going, please?
Now we're gonna chill out.
An emotional shift so unwarranted and so abrupt, Heather takes notice and gets suspicious, specifically calling out,
I thought you wanted to get to the car.
and
This just seems like you guys are having just a little bit too much fun for my taste.
jump forward a few minutes and we have Mike revealing that he kicked the map into the creek.
It was useless. I kicked that into the creek.
What?
What?
What? But while everyone in the movie and in the audience are thinking what a dumb move that was, it's the logistics of this that are really
So
telling.
he
Mike
could
is not
be
the map guy. As
the
we
bad
hear
guy.
repeatedly through the movie, it's Heather who keeps the map in her back pocket at all times.
The map is in my pocket. You're gonna have to wait a
I
second.
never
So
thought
there
of
are
it
only
like
two
that. He
ways
could be the
have
bad
gotten the
guy.
map. One, stolen it from Heather's back pocket in the middle of the night where she keeps it, or two, gotten it from Josh after he knowingly kept it during the last map check. Option one comes with a bunch of implications we'll talk about in a minute, and option two would mean that Heather was right. The map was in Josh's possession, and Josh is just lying to her face about it. It also means that Josh is complicit in losing the map. But there are two last huge details from this section before we move on. As soon as the map goes missing, Heather demands the compass.
Give me the compass.
Who
The
has the
compass.
compass? Mike! And before Heather
Of
can hold
course,
on to
he's
it,
the
Josh
gatekeeper.
immediately
He
demands
holds
it
all
away
the
from her.
keys.
In other words, their only other navigational tool is constantly controlled by and manipulated by the two guys, and not
boy.
Heather. And as one last nail in the coffin, the three had also decided to just head south, following the creek until they hit something. If years of watching Man vs. Wild has taught me anything, it's a good plan.
Man
It's
vs.
probably
Wild
one that
is
Heather
good.
got out of the survivalist book that she had read prior to this trip, the book that we see at the beginning of the movie. And yet, despite everyone agreeing to this plan that surely would work at a certain point, at 42:22 in the movie, the guys just stop and alter course. Heather asks why they've changed up the plan, and gets literally no response. They just decided to, and Heather has to be along for the ride. Again, what we're seeing is the two guys subtly manipulating Heather to go in the direction that they want to go, to lead her around the woods and scare her for a few days, eventually
this
leading
makes
her
sense.
to the murder house.
Oh,
Hold
yes.
on, you might say.
This is
Sure,
dark
Josh
and
and Mike might be
twisted.
behaving strangely, but what about all those supernatural things that are happening
They
to
could
them
have
out in
done
the
that.
woods?
One of them
And it's
could
a
have done
good
that.
question, except for one thing.
Or they could have pre-made
aren't
it.
any supernatural things that happen out there in the
It
woods.
couldn't be
One of the first
supernatural,
big
it's
ones
man-made.
is the tent being surrounded by piles of stones
They
when the
could have
group
done
wakes
that.
up and breaks camp. Ooh, spooky rock
Ooh,
piles.
yeah,
But
they could have
Heather
done that.
herself admits after the first night that she sleeps.
I sleep like a rock.
So what's to prevent one of the guys from building a couple of stone piles in the night? I mean, later in the movie, Josh full-on disappears without anyone in the tent noticing, proving that someone can come and go at will in the middle of the night without much trouble.
Flintstones
Speaking of leaving the tent in the middle of the night, when else would Mike have gotten the opportunity to take the map and kick it into the creek? The period between us knowing the map exists and the map going missing is a short window that takes place overnight. What about that bundle of sticks that shows up later? Well, it's just a bunch of sticks that you can build at home. And sure, it
Yeah.
contains some hair, clothes, and teeth that are implied to be Josh's, but it's not like they're doing DNA testing out there in the forest.
True, yeah.
If this was indeed a premeditated murder, one of the guys could easily have brought those things along. Fun fact, even for the movie itself, all the production team did was ask for a few spare pulled teeth from a dentist. It's just
Damn.
not that hard to get your hands on human teeth, is what I'm saying. Heck, I got a collection in my own house.
Yeah.
For reasons.
For what
How about
reasons?
those sounds at night?
Hello?
Well, it's worth mentioning that Josh is the first to hear noises during night one,
One of them could have possibly been an owl, but the other one was like a cackling.
yet does nothing to document them, and no one else hears them. It's also worth noting that at no point in the movie do the sounds remotely sound like a cackle. And seriously, if he had legitimately heard a
A cute little
cackle
pug
just
thing
outside of
donkey.
the tent in a haunted forest, you think he'd be that chill?
If I heard a cackling, I would have in my pants.
There's no way. He's planting the
Coulda
idea
done
of
wanna
scary
crap my
sounds
pants,
in
I'd
Heather's
have a
head.
fucking
For the
heart
sounds in the
attack.
forest later in the film, remember that Mike is the sound engineer, so he'd definitely have the skills necessary to rig up a couple audio devices outside the tent. Even the
Yeah.
compass could be tampered with if they had a few neodymium magnets. And go figure what's commonly found in audio equipment like speakers and headphones. Neodymium magnets. And who's the sound guy again? Oh yeah, Mike, the guy holding the compass.
Of
And I'm not the
course.
only one who thinks something
The
weird is
two
going on here.
gatekeepers.
Again, Heather is suspicious of their behavior.
Flames are licking you like the devil there, Josh.
In her diary on pages 18, 21, and 23, 3 times, she specifically calls out either how she doesn't believe that they're sleeping through the night, or how surprised she is that they're able to sleep in the middle of all this scary, life-threatening ghost stuff. And she's 100% right. It would be weird for anyone to sleep like that when their lives are on the line. But they know it's not their lives on the line, it's hers. So unless they have to react to some spooky stuff to keep the illusion alive, they're getting their Z's on. She even gets so close to the truth, making the important observation in her diary that the strange things only start to happen once she falls asleep. What a coincidence that is. Still, there are probably some skeptics out there who don't believe that Josh and Mike killed Heather. And for you, I turn to the most damning evidence of all, the ending. It's pretty ambiguous, so let's piece it together beat by beat. Josh goes missing, and a few nights later, Heather and Mike hear Josh's screams deep into the woods.
Just twigs.
Josh?
Mike, who earlier has shown himself to avoid chasing after noises in the dark and has the strongest self-preservation instinct,
Michael, are you saying you're not coming down?
I ain't going down there.
leads the charge out of the tent, pushing Heather to hurry up and follow him.
Mike, where you going?
In the pitch black of the woods, again, it's Mike who sees the house,
It's a house.
and then a few seconds later goes inside without hesitating. When Heather shows some trepidation about going inside, he yells at her.
Come on, in the house.
Once inside, he hears Josh's cries, and Mike loudly shouts that he's headed upstairs
I'm going upstairs.
to find him, with Heather shortly behind. At the top of the steps, he stands there waiting. It's only once Heather is upstairs that Mike quickly changes his mind, determining that the sounds he's hearing are apparently from the basement and not the second floor, loudly shouts out again that he's coming down the stairs,
Come on, I hear him downstairs.
then
Jesus.
rushes down, this time without
This
waiting
is
for
intense.
Heather. And remember, this is all happening in a completely dark house that Mike has allegedly never seen before. Yet he finds the cellar staircase easily. We
Yeah,
see Mike
like
go
he
down
knows
into the
the
basement,
place.
and then the handheld camera is dropped, as most people assume Mike is attacked by the witch. From there, Heather catches up, sees Mike standing in the corner, gets attacked herself, and drops her camera. End of movie. Now this whole
yes.
sequence is suspicious for a couple reasons. Mike leading the charge at night is so outside of his character at this point, especially charging into what is obviously a murder house hidden inside the forest. He also seems very comfortable with the layout of said house, even though it's completely dark. And how could Mike mistake sounds coming from the basement as coming from the top floor? And also, why
It's an old
shout
house,
where you're
maybe.
going
There's
before you
no
go there
soundproofing.
unless you're trying
Don't
to
know
signal
sound
where
travels.
you're going to someone else. But perhaps most suspicious of all, if he truly got hit by something in the basement, causing him to drop his camera, why would he be well enough to stand in the corner and not respond when Heather calls his name? In fact, after decades of being tight-lipped about the end of the movie, it's a detail one of the directors, Eduardo Sanchez, called out when he did an AMA on Reddit. When asked what really happened at the end, Sanchez doesn't give a clear answer, but remarks about Mike, quote, "Why wouldn't he turn to Heather's screams?" Seeming to imply that he has the ability to turn around and just chooses not to. And it's a decision that would be difficult to explain until you consider it was part of Mike and Josh's plan. They would lure Heather to the house, get her to the top floor, as far from the cellar as possible, then Mike would create some separation by running away. That buys them time where Mike can go stand in a corner that Heather can see from the bottom of the stairs, distracting her and leaving her vulnerable to an attack from behind, an attack by Josh.
Wow.
Blaming it on the supernatural force that uses Josh's voice to lure people around the house, brings Mike downstairs, hits him on the head, possesses him to put him into the corner and stand there, while it goes around to hide from Heather so it can hit her on the head, murdering her, and then going back and then killing Mike again is actually harder to believe. A murder plot where the two guys are complicit is actually the simplest solution here. But there is one final piece of evidence that points to this not being supernatural forces, and that's the existence of the movie itself. The fact that the trio's footage was found indicates that people made it into the woods, found the murder house, and got back home safely without being accosted by any supernatural beings. The Blair Witch seems oddly selective about protecting her forest, no?
Sure, yeah.
No.
How
She
did
was an
they find the
excuse for
footage?
two young men to team up, scare and eventually kill a girl, and be thought dead, giving them the perfect escape for the perfect plan. But hey, that's just a theory.
That is
A
fucking
film
mind-blowing.
theory. And cut.
Holy shit.
On the Blair
My
Witch
mind has
Stick
just
Man.
fucking been
From
blown from reality.
Subscribe for more creepy theories just in time.
That is
right?
an incredible
I'm working
theory.
on
That I...
everything from the ring to salad fingers.
Salad
Prepare your
fingers. Oh
pumpkin
fuck, I
spiced
remember
flavored
that.
food, curl up under a
Salad
good
fingers
blanket
was
next to the
scary as
fire,
shit.
and get ready for
Most
a scary
trippiest
holiday
videos I watched.
season. Click the button. You know what else is scary? Stupidity. That's why you should also click right here to visit the Wisecrack channel. They fuse education with humor to kill off the Blair Witch of stupidity.
Christ,
Alright, so
what
that's
was
a really forced
Salad
metaphor.
Fingers?
Just
That was like
go and check
2009
them
or
out.
2010
They help me research a lot of the episodes that you see
or something
here,
like that.
so
I
if you like
remember
film
watching that
theory, there's a good likelihood
years
that you're
ago.
gonna have a scary good time over on their channel. If you haven't checked them out yet, carpe that diem, my friends. Seize the day.
was
Now,
like
if you'll excuse me, we've had a lot of
years ago or
serious
10 years
theories
ago, I'm
lately.
pretty
It's time
sure.
to do something fun
Salad
for
Fingers
a
has
change.
been around for a
More
long
on that
time.
in a week.
Okay, that's the end of the video. Yeah, that was Film Theory, Blair Witch Secret Killers, the Blair Witch Project. Absolutely shocking. I truly am stunned. I mean, that is the most incredible theory I could ever think of. I mean, I knew, I said to myself, there's not really any much supernatural happening in the movie. Maybe one of them's the killer. But I never actually thought into this much analyzation and detail. I mean, this is some deep shit. This is some serious theory. I like this. I'm hooked already. Honest to God, that is very fascinating indeed. Yeah, I have to agree. Those two are the gatekeepers. They hold the map. They hold the compass, and they planned. They sort of you know controlled where they walked. She was just following the the two guys wherever they went. And the person, whatever his name is, can't bloody remember, was walking down like he knew the place, like the stairs, or it's down in the basement, like he knew the rooms. And that would have been a good kill site if you were like a serial killer and if you're planning a murder or something like that. So that is some deep, truly awesome, dark, evil shit right there, and I love it. Give me more, baby. Oh yes, that is totally fucking awesome. Honestly, that is just revolutionized this movie for me. I don't know why I didn't really think on that sort of level. I did think one of them was the serial killer, but I never thought both of them were. So that's like I said, that's deep. But yeah, it really does make sense. All the dots connect. They were in complete control throughout the whole entire journey. They were controlling all the directions, the maps, and just the things weren't really supernatural. I mean, the rocks and stones being sort of stacked, that's not scary and supernatural. That's not sort of ghosty like, and the sounds, I mean, that could have been done by the sound man. So yeah, it truly does make sense. That is truly incredible, considering I've watched the Blair Witch Project so many times, and I really enjoyed the movie, and I never really thought of it like that. So yeah, damn, film furry, Jesus, that was totally awesome. But yeah, that's the end of the video. Totally awesome. So if you like this video, make sure to give a like, comment down below, and make sure to subscribe to my channel if you enjoy my content. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.